All right. Whoa, I was dancing. I didn't know we were on. Hey, welcome to Life Extension Live. I'm your host, Dr. Mike, and this is my co-host,
Dr. Crystal.
That was kind of funny.
Always a good time.
Always a good time. Hey, today we're talking about another molecule. Woo!
Whose idea was this?
It was mine.
Again.
Yeah. We last week we talked about, last week. Was it last week? Nitric oxide?
Nitric oxide.
Yeah.
Then we talked about vitamin C.
Vitamin C. And now today we're kind of continuing this idea of another compound or molecule. But you guys, there's a reason we're doing it. This one is called NAD, and it's really important.
Right. NAD, it's one of those back to the basics, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Yes.
Back to the basics. We're going to talk about what it is and how you can boost it. You had a quote or a statement from a big-time researcher.
Right, from Dr. David Sinclair. Now, I'll have to tell you, Dr. David Sinclair in the longevity world, he's up on the pedestal. He's a famous guy. He kind of discovered the health benefits of resveratrol.
Yeah.
And so he's a big time researcher. And when he discovered NAD and how NAD is needed for those longevity genes, he wrote this. He thinks NAD could be one of the keys to a healthier, longer life.
Yeah.
Do you think he's right, Dr. Mike?
I do. I'm a big fan of NAD, and that's why we really want to bring this home to you. Stick with us. This is important.
Yeah.
I like the way you're going back to like a good foundational nutrient or compound. Don't forget, we can see your comments.
We can.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
So let us say hi, ask your questions. We can see it right here live. Okay, so let's do this. So what is NAD, right? And what's the full name? Go back. Yeah, there you go, Hannah. What is NAD?
NAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Some of this may look familiar. Just B3, nicotinamide adenine. That you should probably think DNA.
DNA. Yeah. So this obviously is going to be important, right? I mean, this is an important compound. But I know that screen really does it. Wonderful job by Hannah, by the way. But that doesn't really mean much to people. Let's go to the next one so I can try to lay this out.
Yes.
Why ultimately this is important. My disclaimer, Dr. Crystal, this is oversimplified.
Right.
But it brings the point,
yes,
right? Okay, so
I appreciate it.
So let's start over with the apple, the food, right? Isn't it amazing that the human body we can eat food like an apple and extract energy to run everything we need to run in our bodies?
I love it. That's
it's amazing.
Eating to live.
It's amazing. So there's energy in food, but it's not in the form that we can use it directly. Right? So there has to be a process of releasing that energy in a way that then allows us to make ultimately what is ATP, cellular energy. So when you eat that apple, follow me, we're going to move right? You eat the apple, your digestive system breaks it down into the key components, carbs, fats, proteins, and there's other nutrients, right?
Right, but that's what's giving the energy.
It's the energy is locked in carbs, fats, and proteins. Ultimately, what the body wants to do is it wants to extract electrons. Now, don't lose it. You remember this from basic science. There's the atom, protons, neutrons, electrons. The electrons are the one that have all the energy. And so we want to take those electrons and eventually convert them into a form that we can use them. That's where NAD comes into play. NAD will pick up the electrons from those food sources. It becomes something called NADH. You following up there? Becomes NADH. That compound then dumps the electrons essentially into the mitochondria.
Right.
Once that's done, we get ATP or energy. So that's the end result.
Cellular energy.
Yeah.
So
apple, electrons, NAD, energy so you can live.
Right. So boom. It's important. We know it's important, but I have bad news for all of you out there.
Oh.
NAD levels decline with age. And I have some stats here. By age 50, a typical person may have only half the NAD they did in their youth. By age 80, NAD levels drop to 1 to 10% expressed in their youth.
So I'm at half. It's great. And listen, it when getting older, whether it's true age-related disorders, the aches and pains of aging, whatever, a lot of that has to do with lack of energy, lack of a cell to have enough energy to repair, to function the way it's supposed to function.
Right. And Dr. Mike, you brought up a great point. Repair, cellular maintenance, that happens through NAD. NAD, those proteins and those kind of workers in the cell that's cleaning up, that is helping to just repair from damage from the sun, repair from alcohol, repair from from
food,
lifestyle,
the food
from
we eat,
food, from pollution.
Yeah, the whole thing.
They use up NAD to perform those repair processes in the body.
So why not give some back?
Yes.
Right? Your body needs it. We've got to fill that NAD tank up a little bit, right? So, and that's ultimately what we want to get into. I am going to quote something here from the journal Science, real respected journal. Taking dietary NAD precursors, and we're going to get into that, may represent a new therapeutic opportunity for aging and its associated disorders, particularly neurodegenerative diseases.
Wow.
It's big. Yeah. Guys, this is big, and it's something you really should consider adding to your regimen. So let's get in to, let's boost it up. Let's boost it up.
Let's talk about food.
Okay.
Foods that can help to deliver some of those precursors are foods that will give you tryptophan, that will provide niacin, the B vitamin foods. So meat, fish products, cheese, turkey, grapes, and wine.
Yeah.
That's a nice little list.
I like all of that.
Well, yes.
I like all of it.
He has his cheese over.
It's over on the table.
It's over on the
table, yeah. Yeah, so eat those kind of foods, but and what the food is providing, right? Let me make sure I get there. The food is not necessarily providing NAD, right? That's a compound your body makes from the precursors you find in the food.
Yes.
Food first, but there's a gap about the amount that you're going to be able to make from just those foods, right?
Exactly. It's the amount, and then those precursors are needed for other things in the body, not just NAD.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where, supplementation comes in, especially supplementation and doses of those precursors that have been shown to increase NAD in the body.
Yeah. So if you think about the foods that you just went through, right? Why those foods? Well, those foods are high in niacin, B vitamins, basically, resveratrol, tryptophan, leucine, a compound from green tea, e.g. CG. All of these are great precursors to helping NAD, right? Right. That's why we want to eat those.
Absolutely.
Okay. But are we getting enough? Supplementation can help with that.
Exactly. Now, when we talk about supplementation, one answer is, well, why can't we just take NAD?
Well,
or one question.
Well, go ahead.
Well, NAD it's not stable, and it's just not absorbed well. Yeah. So that's not really an option.
Because there are some supplements out there with NAD, but yeah, it's just how much you're actually getting in your system, all that kind of stuff. So at this point, and maybe someday that'll improve, right? Maybe. But at this point, it's better to take the precursors. And I think that's a better conversation to have with the audience today.
Right. So when we talk about precursors, let's focus in on niacin or vitamin B3.
Vitamin B3.
Right. So there are different forms of vitamin B3. There's just the plain old niacin that you see in your supplements. Or nicotinamide, which is also niacinamide, but that's all niacin, right? Then you also have nicotinamide riboside, and then you have nicotinamide mononucleotide. So those are some of the B3 sources. Again, vitamin B3 precursors.
Yeah, and just real quickly, out of that, we're going to go more into nicotinamide riboside because there's some good research on that one being well absorbed and boosting NAD levels. Some of the other issues that people run into, like niacin is actually a great booster of NAD. The problem is the dose you have to take of the basic B3 niacin causes a lot of flushing in people. They don't like that. That
is very true.
Yeah, but you don't see that with the NR and stuff.
Right, and there are more steps to get to the NAD. So, for example, tryptophan is a great precursor, but tryptophan has to go through 4 or 5 reactions to get to the NAD. NR is just like 2 steps, boom,
done.
You're there.
Yeah.
So
anytime you can eliminate some steps, you're just going to have what we call in chemistry better yield at the end, right? That's what it's called again. So we're going to get into nicotinamide riboside in a second. There was something else that I wasn't aware of. Was selenium plus CoQ10?
Yes, I'm
I
not quite
hadn't
sure
heard
how
that
they
one.
work, but they can help as well.
Yeah. So B vitamins, tryptophan, and apparently selenium and CoQ10 combo. Which
Yes.
anyway, selenium, CoQ10, great for heart health and all that kind of stuff. But
Yes.
so go for it. All right. So which do we choose? Us, without a doubt, nicotinamide riboside.
Yes,
Right.
NR, aka NR. And I'll give you some research with studies. We do know, as I mentioned, NR is a closer step to the body's metabolic processes to create that NAD. A human trial found that 500 milligrams of NR twice daily for 6 weeks increased blood cell levels of NAD concentrations by approximately 60% compared to placebo. And so
In
that's
6
good,
weeks, that's pretty
right?
good. Yeah, that's filling back that tank, right? That NAD tank. Another one, double-blind study found that NR significantly elevated blood NAD levels in older adults in just 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good stuff. So that's kind of what we call the proof of concept, right?
Yes.
Here, these are studies that are showing if you take NR, they looked at measuring NAD and they saw an increase.
Yes.
That's a proof of concept. At the end of the day, though, that's great, right? That helps to support why we like it.
Yes.
But what does it mean what's the total outcome? What does it mean to the person, right?
That's an important point. Like, what can you expect to happen in your body if you start supplementing with NAD? What kind of outcomes?
Right.
And there's some really good research in overweight and obese men and women taking 1,000 milligrams of NR per day for 6 weeks resulted in mild improvement in body fat-free mass.
Yeah.
So fat-free mass in the body.
Basically, more muscle and less fat, right?
And better sleep as well. Greater sleeping metabolic rate, as well as increased markers of NAD synthesis in skeletal muscles. And so I think those are important outcomes. You're sleeping better.
Yeah. Sleeping better, you're looking better, you're feeling better overall. But it's one of those things, and this is where it gets, I think, tough as educators, especially when we talk about the longevity part of it, because a lot of the things we suggest don't necessarily, it's not like you take it and all of a sudden you're like super guy or girl, right? It doesn't happen like that. We're talking about things happening at the cell level.
Right.
We're talking about reactions and anti-aging pathways at the cell level.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you necessarily feel something outright. It's really about the years down the line.
That is very true. Now, I know we don't have the research here, but we do also know that NAD can have some neurotransmitter-like effects. So some people just, their outlook on life is better when they supplement with NR, or they're focusing on supporting NAD. So we do know it also helps to support cognitive function and also immune health.
Yeah, that's great, right?
Immune
More
health.
people are interested in that.
Yes, NAD is important to help to support some of the immune functions inside of your cell.
Did you mention Alzheimer's and stuff?
I didn't.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. So there's also some research showing improvement in memory, certain dementias like Alzheimer's. And again, it really the answer to, well, how is it doing that? It's really coming down to better cell repair, better cell metabolism, and all of that happens because of better ATP production, better energy production. If a cell is low in energy, which means it's probably low in NAD, how can it function okay?
Right.
How can it repair? Matter of fact, Hannah, can you put the graphic up again? Let's just make sure, because this is the take-home message, right?
I think so.
This is it. This is the message you want to share with your friends. NAD is an important electron shuttle, and that's important because that's where we ultimately get ATP, cellular energy, to the right of that graph. And those electrons come from the food we eat. So without an electron shuttle like NAD, we wouldn't be able to pull the energy out of food.
Right.
At the end of the day.
So you can be eating this great diet, but if you cannot release the energy from the foods that you eat,
what's the point?
What is the point?
What's the point? So go ahead and boost up your NAD levels. We do think, besides the foods you mentioned, one of the best ways is nicotinamide riboside. Very easy to take. It can convert in just a couple of steps, right?
Yeah.
Comes right into the cell. Absorption's not an issue. nicotinamide riboside is the way to go to fill up that NAD tank.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm ready to fill up, Dr. Mike.
Well, Dr. Crystal shared with me she wants to do fancy ways of doing it.
Yes, I plan on getting NAD infusions.
Tell them about that.
Yeah, well, it's a way where you can go to a clinic. You have to find a clinic. I'm sure, depending on where you're located, you can Google NAD infusions, and it's a great way to boost your NAD quickly.
Yeah.
Right. About three sessions.
Yeah.
To boost the NAD, and then you can keep your maintenance level with NR.
With NR, yeah. So boost it with the shot, maintain it with oral form of NR. Well, we want to thank you guys for watching today. Hopefully, this we got our point across.
Yes.
About how important this is. Sometimes we like to get down to the nitty gritty. We've talked about vitamin C, nitric oxide. It only made sense to have a live show on NAD because it really is a cornerstone who we are at Life Extension, at our podcast Live Forever-ish, right? And so it made sense to bring this to you. Again, go check out nicotinamide riboside. Don't forget, we go live every Wednesday at
12 noon.
12 noon Eastern time. Go ahead and hit that interested button so you get reminders.
Yes.
That we're about to go live so you never miss a show.
And there's an article.
Oh!
Yes, lifeextension.com/boostNAD. Lifeextension.com/boostNAD. You'll find many of the other strategies.
Yeah, much more detail.
More detail about what NAD is and how to boost it.
Yeah. Again, we go live every Wednesday at 12 noon. We'd love to see you next Wednesday. Take care.